All right, Beau Davidson on the set now. We've been talking about him. He's up and coming, but he's really arrived because he's already getting some national prominence for some of the things that he's put together. Beau, welcome to Terrebonne Parish.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You were bragging during the break about the food and everything that's going on. What's the best meal you ate so far? You got some gumbo?
I did get some gumbo. We went down to, is it Dragos or Dragos? That's how you pronounce it? Dragos in New Orleans the other night. Had the best oysters I've ever had. But locally here, Big Al's. Gosh, I've had some really, really great stuff. Griffin's went there today. Got some bacon-wrapped shrimp.
Oh, that's good stuff.
So, you know, I may come back with a little bigger waist, but I got to keep my figure, but I'm going to try my best. But I got to take advantage of the local food, so.
All right, now I'm looking over your resume, and of course Elvis is a big influence. You're from Memphis, but the one thing that caught me is, and let me find it, you have a degree, magna cum laude, in vocal performance, opera, and political science.
Right.
How do those two mesh together?
You wouldn't think they would. I didn't think they would. I wanted right brain, left brain, so I was a little bit creative. Music's been a part of my life since I was a kid. It's hard not to when you grow up in Memphis. The other side was I wanted to be a little analytical too. The performer in me thought, well, maybe I can be a lawyer too. Who knows? So when I graduated in 2003, I never really thought that these two fields would sort of marry. And then here we are 10 years later, and I got involved in Mitt Romney's presidential campaign, and the song Blessed kind of led me to that because it was patriotic. I was asked to be a surrogate for him. I toured all over the country with him in support of him, and now here we are, politics and music working together. So who would have known that?
Well, I tell you, you couldn't have rehearsed that segue any better. That's pretty good. I like that. But let's talk about Blessed, because I watched it in the control room before the show. It's a great video, but I could tell your heart's a lot like my daddy's a World War II veteran and a Korean War veteran. So what inspired you to make that video, and what brought it to fruition?
Well, a number of different things. You know, when you write songs, as I do, that's our trade, you write about what you know. And for me, a lot of that was love, relationships, romance, things of that sort. But I wanted to kind of step outside my box, my own personal box, and say, what's a subject I can talk about that not a lot of people are writing about? And patriotism came to mind. Also, keep in mind that you know, just in recent days, I think that maybe my generation and the younger generation might not have the same concept of what it is to be American and patriotism as maybe an older generation does, and my fathers and my grandfathers who did serve in the military. So I thought, well, how can I contemporize this? How can I modernize this? And so I said, let's ask some simple questions, which are, what is courage? What's honor? Are these just things we've heard about as kids, or do they really actually still exist? And I think we know that they do still exist. They exist in Afghanistan and Iraq and all around the world with our troops serving a greater purpose, things that I'm personally probably too scared to do. So I decided, well, if I'm going to be the artist, I'm going to be the conduit for this message, and I'm going to put to paper what's in my heart. And I think many people have heard, we're a blessed country, we're a blessed nation, but what does that mean? So that's where these topics, I thought I'd explore it in song.
Well, and I'm sitting there watching the video, and we're going to play it in just a short second here, and I'm looking at it, and I couldn't help feel a little Lee Greenwood, but of course you hope that it turns out to be a Lee Greenwood because they've been playing that forever. Of course. But why don't we listen in to Blessed, and here's Beau Davidson. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Wow. Ooh, if that don't hit you, that is a fantastic video, and
thank you.
Your range is incredible.
Thank you.
You make it look easy.
It's not, but thank you for saying that.
Let me ask you, Beau, when you're doing this video and you finished, and we'll talk about how long it took you to make it, but you were in search of the word blessed. What did you learn? What came about from it?
Well, it's easy to say the word because we hear it a lot, especially in the South. How about God bless you or bless your heart? I think in this sense, blessed means to be divinely privileged, is the best way I can put it. I think it means that we live in the most exceptional place in the world. 2/3 of the world does not know freedom like we know it, and I think that's a shame. So if you listen to one of the gentleman's comments in that video, he says freedom isn't just a concept. I think it's something we can give. That's what I learned.
Yeah, fantastic. How long did it take you to shoot the video? I saw I saw, in some of the older videos we've seen, it was just men back in the day. Now there's a lot of women.
That's right.
That serve. How long did it take to put it all together?
Well, you notice there's a lot of diversity in there, all shapes and sizes, all different colors, which is how it should be. That's what our military is. It only took one full day of filming, believe it or not, and an extra day to get that shot at the end with the C-130 going up, because we kept missing it because the thing would veer off to the left or right, and you have to get a whole separate clearance from Pentagon and DOD and then over the FAA side to get that shot. But it took basically 2 days. What took the longest time was getting the clearance from the military, but thank goodness we got their blessing.
All right, very good. So you made another video called Louisiana Girl,
Right.
which ties in nicely to what we're talking about.
Right, and that, well, it's not really a video yet. We haven't done an official video.
Okay.
It's, the video you might play is from the state pageant. But
Okay.
when I came down to Louisiana last year, I said, I really want to do something special. I want to write a song that's just specifically about Louisiana girls. So I used many of the great historical and cultural landmarks that you have, whether it's Lake Pontchartrain, Death Valley Lights, and so I used those symbols to identify the perfect Louisiana girl.
All right, so let's see what Louisiana Girl is on. Now, this is the first time I hear this one. I heard Blessed before, but let's roll it in, Jay, and see what it's all about.
Thank you.
That's a tough gig, huh, Beau?
Really tough. It actually is tougher than you think that it is.
Well, I'm going to tell you, your poise is excellent, but that's tough to sit up there and play solo and do what you did, but you pulled it off very well. You don't look nervous at all.
If you've been doing this since I was, I guess, 4 years old, so you get used to it, I guess.
You've been playing the classical piano since you're 4.
Since I was 4, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's a long time to be playing, huh?
Well, it is, but I love it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. So I get the opportunity at the state level to premiere new works. That's a pretty awesome thing to be able to do.
So Louisiana Girl,
Yeah.
Are you trying to unseat maybe New Orleans ladies? I know the guy that wrote that.
I love that song. So it's all about, hey, generation to generation. What's the generational song? Bob Dylan had so many great generational songs, and Taylor Swift kind of does that nowadays with some of her songs. So, you kind of got to update it every now and then.
What's your goal? Because I know you sort of just came on the scene real quick, and you're well versed in different areas. What's your favorite area of music? And are you in it, or is it going to take you wherever it takes you?
I think I look at everything as an opportunity, an open door. I know some people kind of just focus in one area, but I was trained classically and operatically. That means that I may do an opera in the next year. After that, I've been on a CMT show called The Singing Bee for the past 2 years. I love it. I get to sing everything from Bob Dylan to Justin Bieber. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I love doing that. The next year, maybe I go do a Broadway show. Maybe it's Phantom of the Opera. Who knows? And then politically speaking, the next cycle, maybe I'm a surrogate for somebody else, Maybe I come back down and sing for some of your politicians here. I don't know. I think that it's just over the course of time, the more that I do, the more I find out, and the more opportunities it leads to. So I'm not going to close any doors just yet.
But it's starting to happen.
It is.
For you, and that's got to be real exciting.
It is exciting. When you do what I do and you put your irons in a lot of different fires, other opportunities come your way. So it is exciting. It keeps me busy, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But I love it. I was trained well. I was blessed to have great parents who took a great interest in what I was doing. And if I didn't, when I was probably, maybe a sophomore in high school, I didn't grow at the rate everybody else did. So music was my savior. I was fast, but I wasn't big. So I was getting thrown on my head in football, and I was like, maybe it's time to make a shift to something else, So music was my savior.
What's the favorite song you've ever written? Everybody's got a favorite.
Well, the obvious choice is Blessed, because of not just because of what it's done, but because it means so much to me. When I sang it at the Republican convention for 21 million people, when it's your lyrics and your melody, it's the same way I have a feeling many other artists. That's kind of that one song that you feel, gosh, if I had to put my all my money on one, that you would say, if this one represents you the best, it's probably Blessed.
Well, Beau, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations. Thank you for coming to Terrebonne Parish.
And come to the parade this Saturday. There's a lot of fun stuff in store.
Well, HTV is going to be there. It's one of our sponsored events, so we'll see you out there. And thanks to Beau for coming in.